Today's match of StarCraft 2, it's so fresh, it's so recent that it was literally played tomorrow. I've never seen that before. So this particular game, apparently it wrapped up early in the morning on the 18th of March over in South Korea, yet I'm casting this game on the 17th. Now, from what I understand, it's an absolute banger, so I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down. Spawning right here in the top right-hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have Cure. And his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones. We're looking at Dark's main hatchery. So, Royal Blood. This is a very long game. Generally speaking, the really long games, they are played on maps like, for example, Altitude, the really big ones. And even though Royal Blood does have a lot of bases, it doesn't have that many in comparison to some others, right? I mean, I'm assuming at the very least, judging by the replay duration, that we're even gonna see these golden minerals mined at some point as well. These are a little bit special because they can technically be mined from both sites. Theoretically at the same time as well, but that would be a little bit difficult to pull off. Anyways, this game, it was literally played a couple of hours ago as of me casting this replay during the second weekly of the KSL. So the KSL is that new tournament that just recently started up. In case you're interested, it is entirely funded through their Patreon page, so I'll go ahead and post a link to that down below in the description of this video. Right now is actually a pretty great time to be a StarCraft 2 commentator. I mean, even though maybe the future of the game is not as stable as it once was, honestly, there are so many good games for me to go ahead and cast right now that I don't even know where to start. Like, there are periods in StarCraft 2, especially leading up to major tournaments, where there are barely any recent games. So I am really trying my best. I'm reaching out to pro gamers personally, right? I'm like, hey, do you have any sick games you would like to share that I can cast on YouTube? And most of the time, the pro gamers are more than happy to send me something good. But right now, there are literally hundreds of replays that I am basically ignoring. Like, there are so many good games to cast that I don't even really know where to start. But anyways, this is one of those games that was recommended to me, so I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up happening, as Cure is starting up with a pretty interesting build. So it's a command center on the low ground, but now he's transitioning into double barracks. I feel like most of the time whenever we have double barracks, we're gonna put it at the front. Okay, are we gonna go for a tech lab right here on the second one then? So it's still a Reaper opener, and I guess this is just on the off chance that it would be a pull first from Dark. Dark has been quite fond of going for pull first, but yeah, it has to be a tech lab right now. So we're gonna start pumping out those Marines. Are we gonna go for a third barracks as well, Cure? Is that the plan? No, we're gonna go into a factory. Okay. So I'm assuming this is gonna be a 2-1-1, where he's just gonna be able to hit his opponent in the face with more stuff than you normally can. So normally a 16 Marine drop, it hits with, you guessed it, 16 Marines and 2 medevacs, as well as Stimpack, right around the 5-minute mark, and usually 10, maybe 20 seconds, depending on the size of the map. With a command center first, however, with double mule already, Cure should be able to get, yeah, that sort of attack going quite a bit earlier on, at the very least with more units. Zerglings are going around the map. So I think at this point Dark has figured out with an Overlord that it is indeed a CC first on the low ground, and he's also seen that indeed there are, well, not a whole lot of units at home. So the Zerglings here with link speed, they're gonna try their very best. One Marine goes down, second Marine also in a lot of trouble. I think he needs to pull a couple of boys, although the reinforcing Marines do pop out eventually. Okay, decent trait right there though. So these sort of attacks are awesome here for Dark, primarily because the Zerglings are as strong as they're gonna be right now, right? Like, they're not gonna get 1-1 upgrades here anytime soon. Whereas the Marines, they still need to get their Stimpack research, and they really do benefit of being in bigger numbers, because obviously the Marines in the middle, they end up, well, being surrounded by more Marines, and the service area really does benefit the Terran player. So even though that may look like a little bit of an interesting fight there, 6 Zerglings for 4 Marines, and apparently now also the Reaper going down on the other side of the map is really, really nice right here for the Zerg. Curious little move right there from Dark. I've been casting a lot of Dark replays lately, but honestly, he's the top level player that's playing in practically everything. And even though I've got a lot of replays to cast right now, I'm not tired of Dark yet, man. I know some of you, I saw someone comment on a previous game that I uploaded a couple of days ago, whether or not Dark was the one secretly running this YouTube channel. And it really does seem that way right now, but I've gone through phases in the past too, where I casted a lot of Clem games. I casted a lot of Cure games at some point as well. A couple years ago, I casted Cure every other day, because Cure was one of the few players that was playing in literally everything. But anyways, apparently right now, it is Dark who's practically participating in every single cup that there is. So look at that. A 16 Marine drop with 14 Marines. Maybe we should give it a different name. So interestingly enough, this attack would have hit really hard, but I mean, it's still going to be something you have to respect here, of course, is the Zerg. But it's not going to be as powerful because a bunch of Marines are missing. Because of that, I think he's going to boost straight into the main base. We do have a lot more Zerglings spawning. You need about 30 links against this. 22 are available right now. Okay, that one queen. Nice micro right here by Dark. Really beautiful cleanup. Okay. So this is the type of early game that Dark wants. This is exactly what he's hoping for. Look at the greed as well coming out of him, right? So he's gonna go for another round of links, probably because he's scared of, well, that additional push coming in. But he's going 2 additional hatcheries. He's going for a late lair. He's going for a Baneling Nest right now. This particular trait wasn't great for him, but assuming he doesn't lose any economy here, I think he'll be pretty happy. That being said, though, losing those Zerglings here does kind of suck. I expected him to hold down that drone button for a little while longer, but he's forced to now remake those links that he just lost. So Cure, okay, getting a whole lot more than he was probably hoping for as well. He does have one Widow Mine here in the mix. There's going to be a wraparound we're going to have to pick up. Beautiful. Great moves right there by Cure. He ends up losing the mine, but, well, saves most of the Marines, and he deals a whole lot of damage. If you look right now at the resources lost, yeah, suddenly that is looking a whole lot better right there for our Terran. Spines are being shot right here at the rocks. I feel like the Terran, yeah, he's trying to snipe a couple of those Zerglings from the high ground. The Medivacs are providing that vision that he needs. He's transitioning right now, though, well, to a 3rd command center, and he's adding on that additional barracks production as well. So this is a really long game. Let's talk about unit compositions for just a moment, as, well, actually, I didn't think Dark was going to be aggressive here, but he knows the timing at which that CC is going to land. There shouldn't be enough, though. He doesn't even really need to siege up the tanks. Okay, so usually the way that Terran players like to play in the current meta of StarCraft 2 is bio into mech, right? So usually going for an infantry-based army into ghosts, and then eventually ghost mech is what we call it. Ghost mech is the ultimate Terran unit composition. I haven't really seen that many late-game Terran versus Zergs lately, so I'm curious to see how Kira is going to approach this, because right now, straight into mech is very popular. Battle mech is really popular. There are quite a few approaches that you can take, but apparently Kira is going to go for the most classical one. Banelings, well, morphing in the back. Centrifugal hooks is done right now. That's the roly-poly upgrade. Is he going to commit? No, he's instead going to commit to a counterattack. There is a siege tank on the high ground, however, already picking up 4 kills. Dark will probably be using those units right now for a wraparound. Banelings are finishing up. He's going to have to push in pretty deep. Queen's at the front as well, soaking up a couple of hits, but Dark is everywhere. Beautiful move right here by the Zerg player. I don't think this is going to work out for the Terran at all. Love that pickup there as well from Cure. He's gonna start picking up the pace. That's how a lot of Terran players will win against weaker players, like, for example, myself. Maybe you can clean up one of those attacks, but what do you do when suddenly there's a fight happening in multiple areas? It's important to keep that creep spread contained, so this scan over here is wonderful. Lovely little bit of micro. Despite the fact that they're playing races, and despite the fact, or different races here, despite the fact that, well, the aggression has been very different on both sides of the map, the upgrades here are basically perfect, right? 2-2 in line right there with the opponent's 2-2 as well. You love to see that. Just shows that these guys are very much so in sync. Hive already coming up right here for Dark, though, and that's really gonna allow him to build whatever he likes. One of the Medivacs ends up going down. Looks like the drop over here in the main base has been pushed back at the very least. I want to see what Dark decides to go for. I haven't seen a Hydra Den yet. So without a Hydra Den, we're unlikely to see Lurkers. Without a Spire, we are unlikely to see, well, for example, Brood Lords. I'm imagining that this is going to be straight into Ultras, especially when you go for the quick 2-2 research. With the timing of this Hive, you can go straight into 3-3, you can go straight into the Adrenal Glands research as well, and if you go then, well, into the Ultralisk Cavern, you can get one of the most powerful units out very early on, so you should be able to get fully upgraded Ultras by like 12 minutes or so into the game. And if Terran doesn't have a proper answer to them, they can actually absolutely be a disaster here for Cure. Even though the Ultra has always been a bit of a meme unit, it is incredibly powerful in the right position. I'm assuming, though, that those additional 3 barracks that we see right now on the production tab, these will probably grow little tech labs on them. We should see a Ghost Academy here as well momentarily, and with the Ghost Academy, he should be able to start up a counter against any potential late-game Zerg unit. If he forgets about that, though, life's gonna be much harder. Okay, Planetary Fortress is gonna be the Knight. This is honestly more damage than the Terran player has been able to do over the last couple of minutes, even though, well, Terran's been putting in a lot more effort than Zerg has. As far as the aggression goes anyways. Another hatchery does finish up here at the front. Planetary Fortress once more morphing in. Adrenal does indeed start up immediately as soon as that hive finished. And there's the Ultra Cavern. I think it makes a lot of sense. We haven't seen a Ghost Academy yet though, and that really needs to come up here soon. Usually Terrans will try to wait until the 4th base is done. A good little bit of target firing. Lovely bit of micro there from Cure. Needs to be careful that he doesn't lose the medevacs, but he moves him in the right position at the right time. All of this is nice, but I'm starting to be a little bit concerned for those late-game Zerg units that Cure doesn't have an answer for just yet. He starts up 3-3. He starts up the +2 as well for the vehicles. He's getting some very good traits here. You know what? These traits are actually amazing. If we look right now at the resources lost, look at that. That's what that micro gives you, right? If you're on point, if you don't really take damage from Banelings, this is what can happen here. 221 Lings have already gone down. Only 46 Marines. Still targeting them. Still targeting them. Very nice. Okay, so here's the chitinous plating research. 3 Vipers up in the air as well. This is coming at the expense of the +3 Carapace. There it is. It's a little bit later, but you do really want to have that. There's the Ghost Academy coming up right now as well. As soon as Cure basically secured that 4th base. He's now gonna go for a 5th CC, 6 CC, 7 CC, 8 CC. Okay, we're setting ourselves up for a proper macro game. Liking this position for Cure here a lot. Would have liked to see the Ghosts a little bit sooner. But hey, you can't have everything. His micro is really good, by the way. I feel like that's something we could sort of criticize Cure for back in the day. Like, Cure always kind of struck me as the kind of guy you... Okay, don't get me wrong, okay? This is gonna sound bad, but if you looked at, for example, someone like Maru, it looked impossible to emulate, right? If you looked at someone like, for example, Bjorn or Clem, okay, these guys are just too fast. Cure always looked like the guy you could actually, you know, become if you practice hard enough. He kind of looked like the guy... I think Winter calls him the People's Terran. I think that's a pretty good way to describe it. He looks like a mortal who happened to pick up a mouse and keyboard at some point. At least he used to back in the day. So far in this particular match, he's looking absolutely insane. Some of that micro he's been pulling off on the Marines is in... Ooh. What? Sorry, I'm backing off. Did he just... So, Parasitic Bomb killed its friend, but this medevac, did he just kill his own Marines? Right in the middle of me hyping him up as well and explaining how amazing he is. Yep, no, he was starting to unload and then he accidentally attack moved. Fantastic. Maybe Cure kind of felt like he was doing too good of a job as well. You know, he's like, you know what, this is becoming a little unfair. I'll give my opponent a chance to get himself back into the swing of things. Anyways, there's the golden minerals taken already. Dark is even thinking about going for the golden minerals as well on the other side of the map. I would like to see him mine them from the back. The gas is nice, but yeah, that'd be kind of fun. This is a much easier position to harass than the one right over here. Anyways, there's the abductions coming up. Parasitic bombs as well. Dark has been sitting back for the majority of this game, but he's ready to start moving around a little bit more aggressively. Blue Flame is coming up. Hellbats are being built. Ghosts are also coming up 4 at a time. You're losing some supply right now in the forms of Marines and Marauders. It's not bad for him whatsoever. He doesn't mind that. Yep. This is just supply that's being opened up right now to be replaced with better units here instead. Blue Flame Hellbats really have become quite popular in the late game over the last, I want to say, 4 months or so. Before that, people usually don't really make these units, but it turns out they're a pretty amazing mineral dump. One of the problems you usually run into is you run out of gas. And we see this all the time as well from Zerg players, you know, where at some point they have like 13,000 minerals, but they have like 12 gas. A lot of Zergs will start mixing in Ling run buys that they ordinarily would have used later on into the game. They start using that a little bit more aggressively earlier on. And I think Terrans are doing the same thing with their Hellbat shenanigans. Blinding Cloud right there on top of the Planetary Fortress, reducing the range at least a little bit. There's so much money right now coming into for the Zerg player that he is just, yeah, he's just ready to trade wherever he can. Really good detonations here as well. 9 SCVs have gone down. Parasitic bombs are not gonna kill those Vikings. He's actually now ready to hunt the Ghost. Now this sucks. You can kind of lose Marines, you can kind of lose Marauders, but the Ghosts you really want to keep alive. And that second layer right there from Dark's attack, that dealt way more damage than the first. 5 Ghosts end up going down. 24 SCVs in total in this game as well. Obviously an expensive set of units right there for Dark to trade out, but he's got a lot more money on the back of this. He's basically getting all of the researches that he would ever like, so yeah. Neural Parasite is coming up before he's even made any Infestors. Still has a few Vipers available, so those are nice to have, but yeah, we don't have any Infestors at all. He's basically just getting whatever upgrade he likes. Ultras, coming up. They're obviously a little bit smaller with the new multiplayer balance patch, and because of that, they are a whole lot more microable. I saw a brilliant little Cero clip where he was saying it's actually a nerf because they're harder to transfuse now. It's kind of funny. Once again, nice little Bailing Bullby over here. He's gonna go very deep. I expect him to back off every time, but no, not the case. Those traits are expensive though for the Zerg. Yeah. Anyways, Cero is a bit of a troll, but, you know, he's got that deadpan type of humor where it is sometimes a little bit difficult to read, and he's been streaming a bunch lately, and during one of his streams he said the Ultralisk change where they are smaller, it's actually a nerf because they are now harder to transfuse. And I think it was a very obvious joke, but a lot of people on the internet took it very seriously. We do have the Ultralisk coming in. Getting on top of that base much easier now. Liberators up in the air. They're nice to have. At the same time though, okay, nice little medevac push over here on the right side as well. The medevac may be gone, but the Marines are still here to deal some damage. They've killed 9 drones, and they're gonna go down as well, but not without killing that hatchery. Cure is starting up the slow push. He's mixing in some Liberators. Only 2 so far. So this is that weird pivot, right? So this is that weird transition that Terrans like to go for. Hello. Interesting. Where they want to kind of go into Terran mech, but they also want to make Ghosts and they also want to make Liberators. It's really difficult to make this transition happen properly. These Ultras should get sniped pretty easily, so that's nice, but at the same time, the Zerglings on the right side of the map are dealing a ton of damage, and one of the orbital commands even goes down. Kyordo doesn't really care. Immediately replaces the lost orbital with a one, well, that is fresh. It's got a couple of bits of damage on it. Maybe some of the paint is chipped off, but it'll be good enough. And I think Dark is just trying to rinse and repeat. He is running out of larva, however, yeah. So he's at 95 drones here. That is a very nice amount, but he doesn't have enough larva available to continuously keep moving forward. Now, apparently the hatchery here on the left side of the map also got taken down. Command center now floating up above, and I think he's ready for the creep to disappear and then, well, to start mining some of these resources. The drones managed to evacuate themselves on over towards the top left-hand corner. We're gonna start once more long-distance mining over here from the back of the golden minerals. Are these drones gonna automatically cycle to the front? No, you have to actually manually send them to the right location, apparently. I wasn't entirely sure. He's now also taking the base over on that side, though, so... Yeah, Dark giving up this position, it seems, but he is taking whatever other base is available on this map. So the idea right here for Zerg is that even though he's not trading cost efficiently at all, as you can see he's lost about, well, 9,000 more minerals than his opponent. If he can mine out an extra base or two that his opponent can't mine, then obviously he will be able to catch up in that department over time. That is, of course, the long game, though. That is something that is, well, amazing in theory, but in execution, that can certainly backfire, because Cure is trying to build up his Death Bowl. So he's already been upgrading in the armory for a little while. Now he's got a second armory taken too, which I really like. Hatchery in the top left, by the way, does get killed. A couple of drones end up going down as well, and now he's going to take that expansion here as well. So this really is the base that Dark is trying to steal from the opponent. One extra base is nice, but preferably you get more than one, because over time the cost efficiency from this Terran army is only gonna get better. Or worse, depending on the point of view. Here's the Ultra push once again, though. Coming in. Another orbital comment. Okay, at the very least starts burning. He does burrow a Zergling underneath. Lynx and Banes over here also trying to be obnoxious, and they're just barely out of range of that sensor tower. Cure now using that new staging ground of his, though, to start pushing forward. So he's got a sensor tower in that location, and he can see a lot. He might even be able to corner some of his army. Yeah, that Blue Flame Hellbat having a grand old time, taking down like a dozen Zerglings before it even takes any damage. Once again, though, Ultras moving in on the left side. Ultras are a problem here because other than the Liberator, there's really not much to deal with them. Siege tanks are decent, the reinforcing units are going to be decent as well, but you really need to send the Ghosts. But the Ghosts were obviously all the way at the front, and this is now going to slow down the advancement right here of Cure, who really wanted to take out expansions on the Zerg side of the map. Ultras in the main base. Yeah, super annoying. Look at that guy. You don't oftentimes see burrowed Ultralisks, but you know what? It's costing him 2 scans. Not bad at all. Hatchery on the left side of the map, though, did get taken down. And that's a big one. If Cure can mine this base, that base, as well as the one right over here, this is going to be a very playable long game for him. These pushes are starting to feel a little bit more desperate as well, especially if he leaves a bunch of the Ghosts behind. It's going to be difficult for Zerg to really get damage done over there. So I say that with Dark having still a significant bank, but this is not really a base that he can easily crack. The sensor towers here are super powerful. You can see those attacks coming in from a mile away. He's got a bunch of Blue Flame Hellbats too. Would like to see a couple more of those to protect those siege tanks. But yeah, Cure slowly trying to create a, almost like a wall over here. You see that? Where he's got a... very interesting position here on this map. There's a lot of ramps, but he's covering essentially all of them. Liberator production coming up. Thors also coming up. This is what I was worried for, though. Yeah, suddenly there's a whole lot of Zerglings that take out like a dozen siege tanks. The Marines over here also in trouble, and now actually that Terran push that he was setting up for the last 30 seconds, it's coming all the way back. He'll try to kill out the hatchery or kill off the hatchery right here on the right side of the map, but I don't think that's going to happen. Reinforcing Lings, Banes, and Ultras are ready to blow up another command center too, and I think they will get that job done. Excellent movement right here from Dark. He needs to clean up the attack here from the Terran, because this is still one hell of an army. Yeah. Evacuating this base entirely after killing a ton of SCVs. It's probably the right call, because at this point only 18 SCVs remain right here for Cure. That Ultra should be free. Okay. Well, almost free. Manages to get out of that cocoon back into the arms of the rest of the Zerg. But 2 hatcheries are likely gonna go down here. Dark still has 75 drones, which is nice, but he's starting to mine out the resources that he's got, yeah. So a big group of drones right now heading on over towards the left side of the map. So the supply count can be a little bit deceiving. It's 155 army supply for Terran versus only 86 for the Zerg. A lot of SCVs, though, are going down, man. He's got a very small amount. He's got tons of command centers, so he can still replenish this relatively easily. But I'm starting to be a little bit concerned right here for the size of this Terran army. How in the world is Dark going to stop all of this? He doesn't want to spend a whole lot of energy on scans anymore right now, because he's been trying his best to replenish his economy. Plus, well, most of his orbital commands are up in the air. Dark is trying to go for the base race, it seems, where he's trying to see if he can destroy all of his opponent's structures before he loses the game on his side of the map. That's an orbital going down. The problem is that Terran structures can fly, like we've already seen. And there's no anti-air available in the Zerg army at all. He's gonna have to come back home here eventually to clean up these Terran units, but this is a very, very powerful Terran army. I think Cure is making the right decision here. Even though this base race can be kind of scary, it will likely be the correct choice. There is no gas available anymore for Dark either, so these 12 Banelings, that's basically all he's gonna get for now. Massive Zerg infestation inside of the main base, though. He's gonna start bringing some units back home. There's a lot of drones here on the left side of the map as well. Cure doesn't want to split up his units as much as the Zerg is doing, because he can't really, well, get them back together. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose siege tanks and a bunch of those Liberators for free. One Hydra here as well, actually. So the Hydra, technically speaking, could take care of all of those flying structures, but that is a lot. You know what gets me very excited? I looked at the replay duration. This game is going on for like another 20 minutes. This game is by no means over. Feels to me like it's done. Feels to me like this game is decided. What in the world is gonna happen in the remainder of this match? Blue Flame Hellbat drop coming up towards the bottom right hand corner. This is where that little bit of mining for the Zerg is still happening. Okay, he boosts on out of there. He finds another base over here on the left side of the map as well. Should be able to get rid of that. Look at that. The great evacuation of the main base. Everything that Terran has is gonna be sent on over towards the left side of the map. Are these guys gonna completely reset? Because it seems to me that Dark is gonna be able to mine the bottom right hand corner with maybe a little bit of harassment from time to time, but I think he should be able to mine that. And Terran right now is ready to go after the minerals in the top left. These bases are still, somewhat untouched. Still quite a lot of juice remaining here. Dark would like to go for another hatch, but yeah, Terran's gonna have to set up shop over here. So mining out some of these golden minerals actually is super nice. Look at them as well. The drones are trying to hide away. Orbital Command does scout it, but I don't think Cure can really intercept these drones that are looking for safety here at probably the 3 o'clock position of the map. Okay, let's look at the tech structures currently available. Luckily for the Zerg, the main base is still pretty much untouched. So there's a spawning pool, a Baneling Nest, and an Ultra Cavern, as well as the Hive. This is essentially all he needs. He can make Lings, he can make Banes, he can make Ultras, he can make Vipers, he can even make Infestors. Those are all excellent options. Yeah, I think Infestors are a really good idea here. If you can get them out, they're a unit that can get a lot of value. Cure still has a lot of his production structures as well, but he needs to get SCVs out to make mules. Or, sorry, to make supply depots. He needs to drop mules and make supply depots with his SCVs, because he currently can't really do too much. He's supply blocked. He doesn't have any SCVs. He's got mules, but this little Zergling run by is going to hurt. There's no production, obviously, for the Terran. He's going to have to lift off everything once again. Cure moved on over towards the 3 o'clock position. He's going to take care of that newly acquired hatchery for the Zerg. Looks like drones are once more evacuating the position of the bottom right as well. This expansion will probably just mine out as much as is possible. Mule desperately thinking about mining minerals, but not getting that much done. Infestor there gets picked off for free. That is a bit of a shame right there from Dark, who is going to end up losing this hatchery as well. There are some burrow drones here and there, so maybe he can retake it. But as long as there's Blue Flame Hellbats in the mix, you can't really fight that with Zerglings alone. So I'll switch on over to the units tab over here in the top left, because I think it's probably going to be more reasonable, as we do have the Zerg clashing and crashing on top of this Terran army, as he actually managed to get an amazing engagement there. I didn't think he was going to try and do that, but coming in from multiple angles all at once. Here's the snipes, though, that I was concerned for. One of the Ultras goes down, but I think that is the best case scenario right there for Dark. Okay, once again, that new patch kicking in, right? Ghost used to be able to snipe there regardless, but now when the unit that is being sniped goes out of range, the ability is cancelled. Command Center ends up going down right there on the left side of the map. Look at this. Cure. Once again, feels like he's in Silver League, as he is flying all of his structures towards the top left-hand corner. Just to spite the opponent. No, I don't think it's just to spite the opponent. His army is still massive. 55 versus 42 supply. Plus, the quality of these units is just much nicer. We have the Vikings landed on the ground as well. The only caveat right here to this Terran army is that he's got a lot of medevacs. I guess all of the ghosts have a private plane. Like there's about one plane for every ghost here. So that is pretty amazing. The billionaires of the Terran army over here. But other than that, they don't put in that much value. Zerg is long distance mining from somewhere. You need 300 minerals here to make another hatch. He's got a lot of hatcheries in the main base, so he can return some of his minerals, but yeah, he needs a little bit more in order for him to go for another base. Dark mining out wherever he can. Cure is actually not really... I think Cure has not been planning on macroing here for a long time. I think Cure has looked at this game, he's like, okay, I am not planning to rebuild whatsoever, but I think that's a mistake. Obviously, though, at this point, he can't make SCVs. So he needs to trade out some of his units. Yeah, it's really tricky, right? When you're supply blocked to make SCVs, but you need SCVs to not be supply blocked, how in the world are you gonna pull that off? I guess what he's trying to do, and Dark is probably reading this very well, what he's trying to do is move around to trade out the army units. Like, he wants to trade units here, but Dark realizes that his opponent can't really rebuild, and if that's the case, all he needs to do is just buy as much time as possible. Whatever mineral count he can acquire here is something that the Terran can't really get. Like, maybe Cure can mine with some mules and all that, but that's really about it. If Dark is gonna take a fight, it will take place on creep once again. There's really no reason for him to do it any other way, but Zerglings here chasing around the command center. Couple of banelings coming up, man. Dark smashed his piggy bank and only can produce his 3 banelings. Minutes of saving up led to these 3 legends. Now, there is once more an Infestor. The Infestor is an amazing investment. Haha. Anyways, we're gonna go for some long distance mining here on the left side of the map now, since apparently the middle here is a little bit more difficult to acquire, but my god, that is a very long distance to travel for those drones to return their cargo. Terran structures are apparently gonna join up, I think, with the rest of the units. Yeah, Cure lost all the SCVs. That really sucks for him. Maybe he can take care of, like, he could take care of some of his own medevacs, but that seems kind of dumb. He could definitely give up on like 2 of them, but he needs to give up on like 16 supply worth of units. And that is, yeah, not ideal. Dark, once again, trying to just, well, shoot spines wherever he can. As soon as the Terran structures goes down to a red HP, obviously it will be burning. And as soon as it starts burning, it is, well, kind of tricky. As soon as it starts burning, there's not a whole lot that he can do anymore to save it. Guess you can drop a mule and try to repair it, but then it's gonna cost you some money. So he is gonna, yeah, he starts sniping off his own medevacs. I think that's the only thing that makes sense. But like 2 medevacs does nothing though. If you're gonna commit to killing your own units, if you're gonna commit to human sacrifice, I think you should commit all the— No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you need to open up supply one way or another. 2 medevacs does nothing good for you. I think he's trying to decide right now what the move is. Yeah, okay, so he's thinking here. You could almost hear the gears in his head turn. Cure's trying to decide what the best move is. He's assuming there might be a burrowed infestor or something along those lines, maybe some Zerglings here and there. All this time though, and even though it's not a lot, but all this time, there is a little bit of income right here for the Dark. Or for the Zerg rather. There is more income for the Terran, but nothing to spend it on. I wouldn't mind seeing him put on maybe some add-ons here, just on the off chance that he can get back to... This is kind of wild. I think Dark is pretty happy with the way this is all going here. He knows he's got his opponent on the ropes. He sees the medevac over here as well. Okay, cute little bit of micro, but now there's Hydras in the mix, and those Hydras are obnoxious. Apparently, once more, the piggy bank will be smashed in a base that is mostly mined out. Can we get a unit over here so I can click on the mineral count? Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, no, there's a good scan right there. There's a good couple thousand minerals over here remaining. So that is more than enough to justify that base. Thought for a second that this one had like 100 minerals left, and, you know, that would kind of suck. But there's definitely enough right here for Dark to start rebuilding. So he goes for add-ons right now. Yeah, he starts sniping his own units. If you're gonna snipe your own units, you should have done this ages ago. I think this is too late. He's forced to snipe his own units. That is so funny. Remember when he killed that, well, medevac of his ages ago? Now we go back to SCVs. My god, he should have done this minutes ago. Hindsight is 20/20, of course. He's trying his best to... It just seems really dumb to kill your own stuff. There you go. Look at that. The one supply depot to rule them all. The one supply depot to bind them. And in the darkness, find them. He's... This is absurd. Okay, in the meantime, though, Dark, yeah, he has finished up his hatchery. This is gonna boost his economy a lot. However, Terran still has multiple orbital commands. And those orbitals, they are capable of generating energy, and they have been for some time. I don't know how many SCVs you want to make, but you want to have a decent amount. Yeah, I love the idea of a missile turret here as well. We all know how cheeky Dark can be, even though he hasn't really tried it in this game with like a burrowed infestor here. Neural parasite, it could all be a disaster. Right, so getting some detection here available, I think that's a great idea. We could almost start building up an army again. I think you can get started. The question is, what units do you make? Marauders, okay. Marauders apparently are going to be the name of the game. Marauders are good against Banelings. They're good against Hydras. They're decent against Ultras. And they're not very good against Zerglings. I think more Blue Flame Hellbats would probably be better than Marines, but it's honestly hard to say. Especially since he had to kill his own Medivacs off. Dark's like, hey neighbor. Howdy neighbor. How are you doing, man? You got it back up and running? Great, good for you. Now suddenly though, Dark is the one that has to make some move. But how in the world are you gonna push into this? I love the way as well that Cure is laying out his structures. Very deliberate with his supply depot placement here to create choke points and wall-offs. There is one burrow cheeky Zergling here. As annoying as he possibly can be. Look at the economy and the tech spending, by the way. That's amazing. 72,000 spending here on army by Dark in this game. I barely ever use the spending tab, but... Huh. That is quite amazing. So tech would be upgrades and all of that, right? That's kind of insane, actually, how much Cure has invested in that. Another Infestor coming up. Dark, in the meantime, by the way, has taken the golden minerals as well. He apparently could finally spare himself a scan. So he's gonna go and take down that Zergling. 36 minutes into this game. I do not know who's gonna win this. I honestly have a very hard time predicting this. I think I like the unit comp here for Cure a little bit better. It's just that he's got higher quality units, and he's adding on more of those high quality units as well. But Dark has been building up some energy on the Infestors that he's got. One fungal growth into a bunch of Banelings, and it's GG. He's going for a Queen right now as well. I don't mind the Queen. Ooh, sorry, I almost missed that. We have some Infestor fungal micro. My god. We don't see a lot of... that's dangerous though, man. Ooh, yeah, okay, no, he got out. I think the Infestor fungal there is nice, but also a little risky, because the Infestors are incredibly valuable right now. Fungal growth is really the only thing that Dark can properly use here to keep that Terran army pinned back. Yeah, so both of these guys are just gonna start a rebuilding now. 18 Zerglings at once. It's been a little bit since we've seen that. Dark now also forced to go for Overlords again, so he hasn't hit a supply block in a while. He's going for the base over here in the center of the map too. I wonder if maybe this one is a little bit better. He's got a line of Zerglings burrowed here as well to scout whether or not there's Zerglings, or sorry, Marines and Marauders and whatnot marching across. I wouldn't mind seeing, yeah, the Queen put down a tumor to start putting down some creep in that direction. These guys are incredibly patient. It is very easy to lose your cool here. Man, I think Cure could have done this 2 minutes earlier, right? At least 2 minutes. He could have been building up again for a while. Yeah. The way that Dark was running circles around him, maybe he was hoping that Dark was not going to be able to resist the temptation of jumping on that Terran army, but Dark did a great job. Adding on a Viper right now again as well. So he's got a Queen, he's got a bunch of Infestors, he's going into a Viper. Technically speaking, something that can be incredibly valuable. Cure right now scans as well the base over here at the 3 o'clock position. Yeah, I think spreading creep over here towards this direction of the map is going to be incredibly important. Widow Mine's coming up right now as well for Cure though. This has become such a wild game. I don't know what to expect here. Someone's gonna have to make the decision to go for a move here. But who is gonna make that call? I don't think Cure wants to engage on creep. And I don't think Dark wants to engage without creep. The value of the creep is just too big. So, a Raven would be a really nice addition. I wouldn't mind seeing a Raven. Okay, I thought for a second I sounded really smart, but that's a reactor. Okay, once again, apparently, I'm gonna back off for a second, sorry. Once again, while I'm trying to think out loud, we do have that Infester. From the high ground, shooting some fungals. Today I learned an Infester can fungal from there down towards the low ground. The Marauders. Oh, they see it? Okay, nice. That's actually really quite good. Immediate healing here as well by the Medevac. Cure is not messing around anymore. He does not want to take any more damage than he absolutely has to. Hellbat drop over here as well on the right side of the map. This is just Zerglings. But there are some Banelings and Hydras in the mix as well now. Okay. One Spore Crawler here too, to start up the mining in this location. Dark is rebuilding really nicely though. If you look at the army value here over time, yeah. So maybe Terran was in a good spot in that department a while ago? But no longer is that really the case. Dark has got a decent amount of army here and he's been doing a good job rebuilding as well. The thing is, Zork can't really fight into this, and Terran can't really fight into this, right? So, like, these locations on the map, they're equally terrifying, so... They have to send each other, like, an envoy, you know? Like, maybe send them a message. Hey, meet me, you know, at the 12 o'clock position at the 43-minute mark, or something like that. We're gonna have to find common ground here, because... the only way this can be solved is by international waters, okay? There's no way. The economy for the Terran, though, is starting to look quite scary. Medevac on the right side of the map does eventually get sniped, because now there's an Infester and a Viper and a Hydra and everything available here for the Zerg. Fungal Growth once again available here. He's got enough energy for a couple of chain fungals. The mules also go down. I don't know if that's worth 7 SCVs and a mule, or 2 mules that are almost mined out for an Infester. Couple minutes ago, I don't think I liked it all too much, but Dark actually has a good amount of resources right now. Knocking down these rocks also really quite clever, because I think if Cure is gonna go for an attack, he'll probably be heading on down towards this base. I actually think all these rocks should be knocked down here by the Zerg. There's a couple more here. Ghost Academy coming up. That is funny. Ghost Academy number 2. You know what we need? Nukes. Tactical nukes would actually be amazing. I wouldn't even hate it if Dark decided to go for an Evo Chamber to get +2 missile. He's only got +1 here. He does have a decent number of Hydras. Actually, nah, he's only got 4 Hydras. I thought he had more. He must have lost a couple. Zerglings are starting to be obnoxious again, though. Dark has some money to play with. Yeah. So whenever Terran does anything now, there's a chance that he's gonna... Well, he must have noticed that. Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, this is a scan. It's expensive. Every time that he moves out now, there's gonna be a Zerg army at his front door. There you go. 2 Marauders end up going down. Widowmine shoots at his friends. Dark is gonna take the previous... What was this? The 3rd base? Either the 3rd or the 4th of the Terran. That's kind of amazing. As slowly the creep is starting to gobble up the entire map. That is an ambitious amount of creep tumors for 1 queen. Brenda, you can't do all of that. Rapid fire is a beautiful tool. Cure is expecting an attack here. Cure is expecting and waiting for an attack from Dark. We've now got a little 0 right there in front of our game duration as well. That happens right around this time. 43 minutes into the game. The reason why it's 43 minutes is because of the way that Blizzard time used to work. For those of you that have been playing this game for a long time, you may remember Blizzard time, where they originally made this game for the normal game speed. So that's how the timer worked. However, nobody played on normal at the competitive level. Everybody played on the faster game speed, the one that you play on the ladder as well. Anyways, this is a remnant of that, where I think it's like 33% faster or something along those lines. Once more SCVs going down here. No scan available apparently for Cure. Yeah, Cure has been trying his best to get rid of those infestors, but it cost him a scan every time. Like, he just scanned for like 3 Zerglings there. That's actually a pretty good trait right there for our Zerg, because now the infestor could go back in for some more harassment. 9 o'clock base here, at least attempted to be acquired by Cure, who's slowly establishing himself once again though out on the map. This may be the best game of the year, guys. I mean, it may be a bit early to call this game of the year, but I'm gonna say that this is the game of the month. It's the game of the... It is one of the games of the year. Let's go with that. Yeah, this is absurd that we are 45 minutes in and I still find this very difficult to predict. The thing is, yes, Dark is maxed out. Yes, Dark is certainly ahead. But if he messes up the engagement, it is over. Well, apparently the time to fight is right now. He recognized that his opponent is committing all of his defensive units towards the left side of the map. And that means that the production is once again vulnerable. Excellent fungal growths over there as well. Trying to now catch a couple of those Banelings. Liberators are available, but a lot of them are set up in the wrong position to try and defend this position here on the map instead. So that means that the production is vulnerable. This is what we see in normal macro games as well, right? As the Terran, yeah, is forced to spread themselves more and more thinly since they have so many bases to cover. Usually the main base becomes a vulnerability, and, well, this is a weird main base to be talking about, but Cure didn't have the protection available right there to prevent those Zerg units from coming in. Infestor over here making friends with a couple Marines and a Hellbat. That is so mean! I think this is Dark saying, get out of my game. Get out of my game. Get out of my match. I am ready to move on. He's gonna start fighting over here on the left side as well. We have quite a few of those harpooners available right now, man, as he abducts a bunch of the libs. Parasitic bomb goes down as well, even though the Hydras were more than enough. It's important, though, to not get too overly aggressive there, because he loses an Ultra, he loses a Viper. Those units didn't really need to be there. But 48 additional links coming up. Cure, by the way, with 1,200 minerals in the bank, 300 gas. He needs to get back to making stuff. He's being picked apart here. Yeah, this is honestly the position in the game where Dark is just so incredibly scary. Like, Dark doesn't really have any weaknesses in StarCraft 2 in general. But most players out there, even at this level of play, they feel uncomfortable in these sort of scenarios. But for some reason, whenever I see Dark play, he's... I don't know, he always seems comfortable. He always seems confident at the very least. He always seems like he knows what he's doing. Even though this is a scenario you can't really practice for. This is not something you can really train. I think it's probably something that you have or you don't. And, well, Dark is showing us once again why he is one of the greatest players of all time. He doesn't know the supply count of the opponent, but he's trying his best. Beautiful move over there as well. Neural Parasite on the Ghost to then EMP the other Ghosts. This would be an opportunity right now for the Ultras, the Vipers, the Infestors to all come to the front, because there's no energy remaining on most of those units. And that's exactly what Dark does right now. He is ready to obtain the victory as he is coming forward with everything that he's got. With the Ghosts now disabled from this battle, the Infestors are so incredibly powerful. That said though, he doesn't have that much firepower anymore, but I think he's got enough. He can just chain fungal these units over and over and over again. There's some more Zerglings coming up. He needs to be careful though. You know what? He may have just overextended. There are still some links available. Cure just spent his bank. My god, this is still so close. These Infestors are powerful, right? But they need support. Like, just by themselves, they don't have enough. I didn't realize he infested into that many of them. He's now got 12 available. Well, he's got more fungal growths, though, than his opponent has units. And that is always scary. Here's another neural parasite. GG is cold. And eventually, in one of the most ridiculous games of StarCraft 2 that I've ever seen, it is Dark who obtains the victory.